Hello, this is Emma. I'm very glad you're here with me today. Take a deep breath, relax your shoulders, and get ready to practice English in a calm and natural way. You don't need to rush, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to listen, understand, and slowly let the language come to you. This is your time to improve your English step by step in a way that feels real and comfortable. In this practice, we will focus on everyday English, the kind of English people use in real life, not textbook English, not complicated grammar rules, just clear, natural sentences that you can understand and use in your own life. I will speak at a steady pace, not too fast, not too slow. If you don't understand everything the first time, that is completely okay. Listening again is part of learning. Let's begin by talking about daily routines. These are the small things we do every day. Talking about your routine is one of the most common ways people communicate in English. When you can describe your day clearly, you feel more confident in conversations. I usually wake up early in the morning. I open my eyes, stretch a little, and take a deep breath. Then I get out of bed and start my day. Many people wake up early because they need to go to work or take care of their family. Some people wake up later. Both are fine. What matters is how you talk about it in English. For example, you can say, I wake up at 6 in the morning, or I wake up around 7. You can also say, I usually wake up early, or I usually wake up late. These are simple sentences, but they are very useful. After I wake up, I usually wash my face and brush my teeth. These are common daily actions. Wash my face, brush my teeth. You can say them slowly in your mind as you listen. Wash my face, brush my teeth. Then I go to the kitchen and make something to drink. Sometimes I make coffee. Sometimes I drink tea. You can say, I make coffee or I drink tea in the morning. In the morning, many people check their phone. They read messages or look at the news. You might say, I check my phone after I wake up. Or, I don't check my phone in the morning. Both sentences are natural. Try to notice how simple they are. Then the day really begins. Some people go to work. Some people study. Some people stay at home. You can talk about this in many ways. For example, I go to work at 8. Or I start work at 9. If you are a student, you can say, I go to school, or I attend online classes. When you talk about your job or your studies, you don't need to explain everything. Just simple information is enough. You can say, I work in an office, or I work from home, or I study English every day. These sentences are very powerful because they are clear and easy to understand. During the day, we often talk about meals. Food is a very common topic in English conversations. At midday, many people eat lunch. You can say, I have lunch at noon, or I eat lunch around 12. If you want to add more detail, you can say, I usually eat something light, or I like to eat rice for lunch. In the afternoon, energy levels can change. Some people feel tired. Some people feel focused. You can describe this in simple English. For example, in the afternoon, I feel tired. Or ikekid, I feel more productive in the afternoon. You can also say, I drink coffee in the afternoon to stay awake. Now let's talk about the evening. The evening is a time to slow down. After work or study, people often relax. You might say, in the evening, I go home and rest. Or, I cook dinner at home. Cooking is another common daily activity. You can say, I cook dinner, or I order food, or I eat out. After dinner, people do different things. Some people watch TV, some people read, some people listen to music. You can say, I watch TV after dinner, or Ikea, I like to read before bed. These sentences are very natural and easy to use in real conversations. At night, the day comes to an end. You can say, I go to bed around 10, or I go to sleep late. You can also say, before I sleep, I think about my day. This is a nice, calm sentence that people often use. As you listen to these examples, don't worry about memorizing everything. Just notice the patterns. Notice how sentences are built. Subject first, then the verb, then the rest of the sentence. Simple and clear. Now I want you to imagine your own day. Think about when you wake up. Think about what you do in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening. You don't need to say it out loud yet. Just think in English. Even thinking in English is a very important step. Learning English is not about pressure. It's about exposure. The more you listen, the more natural English becomes. You start to recognize common phrases. You start to feel comfortable with the rhythm of the language. That comfort is the beginning of fluency. We will continue practicing like this, step by step, topic by topic, always using real life English that you can actually use. Stay with me. Keep listening. Your English is improving even if you don't notice it yet. As you continue listening, let your mind stay calm and open. There is no test here, no pressure, just listening and learning naturally. In this part, we will focus on talking about feelings and daily situations. This is very important because English is not only about actions, it is also about how you feel during your day. Let's start with simple feelings. Every day, we feel different emotions. Some days we feel happy. Some days we feel tired. Other days we feel stressed or relaxed. Being able to talk about your feelings helps you connect with people in real conversations. For example, you can say, I feel good today. This sentence is very simple but very common. You can also say, I feel tired today, or I feel a little stressed. Notice how natural these sentences are. You don't need long explanations, just short, clear sentences. In the morning, many people feel sleepy. You might say, I feel sleepy in the morning, or I need coffee to wake up. These are very natural expressions. People use them all the time. You can also say, I'm not a morning person. This means you don't feel energetic in the morning. During the day, feelings can change. At work or school, you might feel busy. You can say, I'm busy today, or I have a lot of work. I have a lot of. If your day is easy, you might say, today is a quiet day, or work is slow today. These expressions are very useful in daily conversations with coworkers or friends. Sometimes things don't go as planned. Maybe you miss a bus. Maybe you forget something important. In these moments, you can express frustration in a simple way. You can say, that's frustrating, or that's annoying. These sentences are short but very expressive. Now let's talk about stress. Stress is a common topic in modern life. You can say, I feel stressed at work, or work is stressful these days. If you want to sound a little softer, you can say, I'm under a lot of pressure. These phrases are often used in real conversations, but life is not only about stress. We also talk about relaxation. After a long day, many people want to relax. You can say, I want to relax tonight, or I need some rest. You can also say, I like to relax at home. These sentences are calm and natural. Now let's move to daily situations. These are moments that happen often in everyday life. For example, going to the store. You can say, I need to go to the store, or I'm going grocery shopping. If the store is busy, you might say, the store is crowded today. If it's quiet, you can say, the store is empty. Another common situation is waiting. Waiting for a bus, waiting for a meeting, waiting for food. You can say, I'm waiting for the bus, or I'm waiting for my food. Waiting is a very common experience, and these sentences are used every day. Now let's talk about time. Talking about time is very important in English. You can say, I'm running late. This means you are not on time. You can also say, I'm on time or I'm early. These expressions are short but very useful. If you are busy, you can say, I don't have much time today, or I'm short on time. If you have free time, you can say, I have some free time this afternoon. These sentences help people understand your schedule. Now let's talk about preferences. Preferences are things you like or don't like. You can say, I like quiet places, or I don't like loud music. You can also say, I prefer staying at home, or I prefer going out. The word prefer is very useful when talking about choices. Food preferences are also very common. You can say, I like spicy food, or I don't eat meat. You can also say, I'm trying to eat healthier. These are very natural sentences that people use often. Now think about your own preferences. What do you like? What do you not like? Try to form simple sentences in your mind. You don't need to speak yet, just think. This helps your brain get used to English. Let's move to social situations. Sometimes you meet friends, sometimes you talk to coworkers, sometimes you talk to strangers. In these situations, simple English works best. You can say, how was your day? Or, how are things going? These are common questions. When someone asks you these questions, you don't need a long answer. You can say, it was good, or it was busy, or it was tiring. Short answers are completely normal. If you want to continue the conversation, you can add a little more. For example, it was busy, but productive. Or it was tiring, but okay. This makes your English sound natural and friendly. Now let's talk about small problems. Small problems happen every day. Maybe your internet is slow. Maybe your phone battery is low. You can say, my internet is slow today. Or my phone battery is low. These sentences are very common in daily life. When something doesn't work, you can say, it's not working, or there's a problem. These are simple but very useful expressions. As you listen, remember this. Fluency comes from comfort. Comfort comes from repetition. The more you hear these simple sentences, the more natural they become. You don't need difficult words to speak good English. You need clear, common language. Take a moment now to relax. Let the words settle in your mind. You are learning even when you are just listening. In the next part, we will continue with more real-life situations and everyday English that you can use confidently in your own life. Let's continue calmly and naturally. Stay relaxed and keep listening. In this part, we will focus on communication in daily life. This means talking to people, asking questions, giving simple answers, and responding in a natural way. These are the moments where many learners feel nervous, but with simple English, communication becomes much easier. Let's start with greetings. Greetings are the first step in any conversation. In daily life, people often say, hi or hello. You can also say, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. These are polite and very common. In casual situations, many people say, hey or hi there. When someone asks, how are you? You don't need a long answer. You can say, I'm good, or I'm fine, or I'm doing well. If you want to sound more natural, you can say, I'm doing okay, or I'm all right. These answers are very common in real conversations. Now, let's talk about asking simple questions. Asking questions helps keep a conversation going. One very common question is, what are you doing? You can also say, what are you up to? Both questions are natural and friendly. If someone asks you this, you can answer simply. For example, I'm working, or I'm studying, or I'm just relaxing. Short answers are completely normal and sound natural. Another common question is, where are you going? You can answer, I'm going to work, or I'm going home, or I'm going to the store. These are everyday sentences that you will hear often. Now let's talk about making small talk. Small talk is short, polite conversation. People use it to be friendly. One common small talk topic is the weather. You can say, it's hot today, or it's cold today, or it's raining. These simple sentences are used all the time. You can also say, the weather is nice today, or it's a beautiful day. These sentences are very natural and friendly. Another common small talk topic is work or study. You can say, work is busy these days, or school's going well. You don't need to share many details. Just a simple sentence is enough. Now let's talk about listening and responding. Listening is just as important as speaking. When someone talks to you, you can show that you are listening by using short responses. You can say, I see, or that makes sense, or I understand. These short phrases are very useful in conversations. If you agree with someone, you can say, I agree, or that's true, or exactly. These words help you sound natural and confident. If you don't understand something, it's okay to say so. You can say, sorry, I didn't understand. Anoms. Or, Yench, can you say that again? Or, can you repeat that, please? These are polite and very important phrases for learners. Now let's move to talking about plans. Talking about plans is very common in daily life. You can say, I'm going to work tomorrow, or I'm meeting a friend later. You can also say, I don't have any plans today. These sentences are simple and very useful. If someone asks you, what are you doing this weekend? You can answer, I'm staying at home, or I'm going out with friends, or I'm not sure yet. All of these answers are natural. Now let's talk about giving simple opinions. You don't need complex words to share your opinion. You can say, I think it's good, or I think it's okay, or I don't like it. These sentences are clear and honest. If you want to sound softer, you can say, I think it's fine, or I'm not a big fan of it. These phrases are common and polite. Now let's focus on everyday problems and solutions. Sometimes people talk about small problems and how they handle them. For example, you can say, I'm tired today, so I'm going to rest, or I don't feel well, so I'm staying home. These sentences explain your situation clearly. If you are busy, you can say, I'm busy right now, or I'll do it later. These phrases are very common in daily conversations. Now think about your own life. Think about how you greet people. Think about the questions you ask and answer every day. These small moments are where English really lives. Not in books, not in exams, in real conversations. As you listen, your brain is learning patterns. You are learning how sentences flow. You are learning what sounds natural. This is how fluency grows quietly and steadily. Stay with me. Keep listening. In the next part, we will continue with more practical English for real situations, helping you feel more confident when you speak in everyday life. Let's continue gently and clearly. In this part, we will focus on talking about experiences and habits. These are very common topics in everyday English. When you can talk about what you usually do and what you have experienced, your conversations become more natural and confident. Let's begin with habits. Habits are things you do regularly. You can talk about habits using simple sentences. For example, I usually drink coffee in the morning, or I usually take a walk in the evening. The word usually is very helpful. It shows that something happens often. You can also use words like often, sometimes, and rarely. For example, I often listen to music while I work, or I sometimes watch TV at night, or I rarely eat fast food. These words help describe how often you do something. Talking about habits helps people understand your lifestyle. You don't need long explanations. Just simple sentences are enough. Now let's talk about past experiences in a simple way. You don't need difficult grammar to talk about the past. You can use very basic sentences. For example, yesterday I worked late, or last week I felt very busy. These sentences are clear and easy to understand. You can also talk about experiences using I've in a simple way. For example, I've tried this before, or I've seen that movie, or I've been very busy lately. These sentences are very common in daily English. Now let's talk about learning experiences. Since you are learning English, this is very important. You can say, I'm learning English every day, or I practice listening and speaking. You can also say, English is challenging but interesting. These sentences are honest and natural. If you want to talk about improvement, you can say, I'm getting better, or I feel more confident now. These sentences are simple but powerful. Now let's move to talking about routines at work or study. You can say, at work, I check my emails first, or I start my tasks in the morning. If you study, you can say, I review my notes, or I practice English in the evening. Talking about routines helps conversations feel real. People often ask about your day. When you can explain it simply, communication becomes easier. Now let's talk about weekends. Weekends are a very common topic. You can say, on weekends, I try to relax, or I spend time with family, or I catch up on sleep. These sentences are very natural. If your weekend is busy, you can say, my weekend is usually busy, or I have many things to do. If it's quiet, you can say, I like quiet weekends. These expressions are used often in real life. Now let's talk about likes and dislikes again, but a little deeper. You can say, I enjoy cooking, or I enjoy walking in the evening. The word enjoy is very common and polite. For dislikes, you can say, I don't enjoy waking up early, or I don't like crowded places. These sentences are clear and honest. Now let's talk about changes. Sometimes people talk about how things change over time. You can say, my schedule has changed, or things are different now, or life is busier these days. These sentences are very common. If you want to talk about improvement, you can say, things are getting better, or I feel more comfortable now. These sentences show progress and positivity. Now let's practice listening in a deeper way. As you listen, try to notice how often simple words are used. Notice how short sentences can express clear ideas. English does not need to be complicated to be effective. Think about your habits. Think about your routines. Think about your experiences. All of these are part of your daily life, and all of them can be described in simple English. You're doing well by listening and staying focused. This is how real progress happens, slowly, naturally, without stress. In the next part, we will continue with more everyday English that helps you communicate smoothly and confidently in real situations. Let's continue smoothly and calmly. In this part, we will focus on talking about needs, problems, and simple decisions in daily life. These are situations that happen very often, and knowing how to talk about them clearly will make your English feel more natural and useful. Every day, we have needs. We need food, we need rest, we need time. Talking about needs in English is simple. You can say, I need to eat, or I need some rest, or I need more time. These sentences are short, clear, and very common. Sometimes you need to do something soon. You can say, I need to finish this today, or I need to call someone. These expressions are used in daily conversations at work, at home, and with friends. Now let's talk about problems. Problems do not need long explanations. Simple English is enough. You can say, I have a problem, or there's an issue. If something is not working, you can say, it's not working properly, or something is wrong. If you are feeling unwell, you can say, I don't feel well today, or I'm not feeling great. These sentences are polite and natural. You don't need to give many details unless you want to. Now let's talk about making decisions. Every day, we make small decisions. What to eat, what to wear, what to do. You can say, I'm not sure yet, or I haven't decided. These are very common phrases. If you decide something, you can say, I decided to stay home, or I decided to go out. These sentences are simple and clear. Sometimes you change your mind. You can say, I changed my mind, or I decided something else. These phrases are natural and often used in real conversations. Now let's talk about asking for help. Asking for help is very important. You can say, can you help me? Or it's, I need some help. These are polite and simple. If you want to be more polite, you can say, could you help me, please? Or would you mind helping me? These phrases are useful in both casual and polite situations. Now let's talk about giving reasons. You don't need long explanations. You can say, because I'm tired, or because I'm busy. For example, like, I'm staying home because I'm tired, or I can't go because I'm busy. These sentences sound natural and clear. Now let's talk about daily choices. You might choose to rest or to work. You can say, I choose to rest today, or I'm going to work a little more. These sentences show decision making in a simple way. Now think about your own day. Think about what you need today. Think about any small problems you might have. Think about the decisions you make. These are all great topics for real English conversations. As you listen, remember that English is a tool. You use it to express your life. The more you connect English to your real experiences, the easier it becomes. You are doing very well. Keep listening and staying present. This practice is helping your English grow naturally and steadily. Let's continue calmly and naturally. In this part, we will focus on talking about communication, messages, and everyday interactions. These are very common situations in modern life, and learning how to talk about them clearly will help you feel more confident in English. Let's start with messages and calls. Many people communicate by phone every day. You can say, I sent a message, or I received a message. These are very simple and very common sentences. If you want to talk about calling someone, you can say, I called my friend, or I need to make a phone call. If someone doesn't answer, you can say, they didn't answer, or I missed the call. These phrases are used often in daily conversations. Now let's talk about replying. You can say, I'll reply later, or I haven't replied yet. These sentences are natural and polite. If you want to explain why, you can say, I was busy, or I didn't see the message. Now let's move to talking about plans changing. This happens very often in real life. You can say, my plans changed, or something came up. These sentences explain the situation clearly without many details. If you need to cancel something, you can say, I need to cancel. I can. Or I can't make it today. These expressions are polite and commonly used. If you want to be a little softer, you can say, something came up, so I can't make it. Now let's talk about apologies. Apologizing is important in communication. You can say, sorry about that. Or days, I'm sorry for the delay. Or sorry I'm late. These sentences are simple and polite. If someone apologizes to you, you can respond kindly. You can say, that's okay. Or no problem. Or it's all right. These responses are very natural. Now let's talk about giving updates. People often give small updates about their situation. You can say, I'm on my way. Or I'll be there soon. Or I'm running a bit late. These sentences are very useful in daily life. If you finish something, you can say, I'm done. Or I've finished. These short sentences are clear and effective. Now let's talk about asking for information. You can say, do you know where this is? Or can you tell me the time? These are polite and common questions. If you don't know the answer, it's okay to say, I'm not sure. Or I don't know. These responses are honest and natural. Now let's talk about explaining simple situations. You can say, I'm working right now, or I'm busy at the moment, or I'm free later. These sentences help people understand your availability. Now take a moment to think about your daily communication, messages you send, calls you make, apologies you give, updates you share. All of these moments are part of real English. As you listen, you are learning how English sounds in everyday life. You are learning how to express yourself clearly without stress. This is how confidence grows. Stay relaxed. Stay focused. Your English is improving naturally with every minute you listen. Let's continue calmly and comfortably. In this part, we will focus on talking about places, movement, and simple directions. These are very common topics in everyday English, especially when you are outside, traveling, or moving around during the day. Let's start with places you go regularly. You can talk about places in a very simple way. For example, I go to work every day, or I go to the gym in the evening. You can also say, I stop by the store on my way home. These sentences are natural and easy to use. Now let's talk about moving from one place to another. You can say, I'm going to the office, or I'm heading home. The phrase heading home is very common and sounds natural in spoken English. And if you use transportation, you can say, I take the bus, or I drive to work, or I walk to the store. These sentences describe how you move around in daily life. Now let's talk about time and distance together. You can say, it takes about 10 minutes, or it's not far, or you sure, it's close to my house. These expressions are used very often when people talk about places. If something is far, you can say, it's a bit far, or it takes a long time to get there. These sentences help explain your situation clearly. Now let's talk about directions in a simple way. You don't need complex words. You can say, go straight, or turn left, or turn right. These are very basic but very useful phrases. You can also say, it's near here, or it's across the street, or it's around the corner. These expressions are commonly used in daily conversations. Now let's talk about arriving somewhere. You can say, I just arrived, or I'm here now, or I arrived early. These short sentences are very natural. If you are waiting for someone, you can say, I'm waiting outside, or I'm at the entrance. These expressions help people find you easily. Now, let's talk about leaving. You can say, I'm leaving now, or I'm about to leave, or I'll leave in a few minutes. These phrases are commonly used in daily life. Now think about your own movements during the day. Where do you go? How do you get there? How long does it take? These are all things you can describe in simple English. Talking about places and movement helps you feel more confident when you are outside or traveling. It also helps you connect with people in everyday situations. As you listen, notice how simple the language is. English does not need to be complicated. Clear and simple sentences are the key to natural communication. You are doing very well. Stay relaxed and keep listening. In the next part, we will continue with more practical English that you can use every day in real situations. Great, let's continue gently and clearly. In this part, we will focus on talking about home life, personal time, and simple daily moments. These are very personal topics, and they appear often in real conversations. When you can talk about your home life comfortably, your English starts to feel more natural and relaxed. Let's begin with home. You can talk about your home in very simple ways. For example, I live in an apartment, or I live in a house. You can also say, my home is quiet, or my home is small but comfortable. These sentences are short, clear, and very common. Now let's talk about what you do at home. Many people say, I stay at home in the evening, or I like spending time at home. You can also say, I clean the house or I do some housework. These are everyday activities that people talk about often. If you want to talk about relaxing at home, you can say, I relax at home after work, or I lie down and rest, or I watch something to relax. These sentences sound natural and calm. Now let's talk about personal time. Personal time is very important. You can say, I need some time for myself, or I enjoy quiet time. These sentences are simple but meaningful. Some people like to be alone sometimes. You can say, I like being alone sometimes, or I enjoy quiet moments. These expressions are common and honest. Now let's talk about hobbies. Hobbies are things you enjoy doing. You can say, I like reading, or I enjoy listening to music, or I like walking in the evening. You don't need to explain a lot. Simple sentences are enough. If you don't have much free time, you can say, I don't have much free time these days. Or, I'm busy most of the time. These sentences explain your situation clearly. Now let's talk about rest and sleep. Sleep is a very common topic. You can say, I try to sleep early, or I go to bed late, or I didn't sleep well last night. These are very natural expressions. If you feel tired, you can say, I feel tired today, or I need more sleep. These sentences are short and commonly used. Now let's talk about simple thoughts and reflections. Sometimes people talk about how they feel at the end of the day. You can say, it was a long day, or today went fast, or it was a busy day. These are very common phrases. You can also say, I'm glad the day is over, or I'm ready to rest. These expressions sound natural and relaxed. Now think about your own home life. Think about what you do when you are alone. Think about how you relax. All of these thoughts can be expressed in simple English. As you listen, remember that English is not only for work or study, it is also for talking about your life, your feelings, and your quiet moments. That is what makes your English sound real. You are doing very well by staying with this practice. Your listening skills are improving. Your understanding is growing. This calm repetition is helping your English become more natural. Let's continue gently and naturally. In this final part, we will focus on reflection, confidence, and using English as part of your daily life. This part is about bringing everything together and helping you feel comfortable using English without fear or pressure. Let's start with confidence. Confidence in English does not come from knowing every word. It comes from feeling comfortable with what you already know. You can say simple things clearly, and that is enough. For example, I can explain my day, or I can share my thoughts. These sentences show confidence through clarity, not complexity. Now let's talk about mistakes. Making mistakes is a normal part of learning. You can say, I make mistakes, and that's okay. Or, I'm still learning. These sentences are honest and healthy. Even native speakers make mistakes. What matters is communication, not perfection. Now let's talk about practice. Practice does not have to be stressful. You can say, I practice English every day, or I listen to English often, or I try to speak when I can. These simple habits make a big difference over time. Now let's talk about progress. Progress is sometimes slow, but it is real. You can say, I'm improving little by little, or I understand more than before. These sentences help you recognize your growth. Now let's talk about using English in real life. You don't need special situations. You can use English while thinking, while listening, or while speaking to yourself. You can describe what you are doing. For example, I'm making dinner, or I'm getting ready. This helps your brain connect English to your daily actions. Now let's talk about patience. Learning takes time. You can say, I'm patient with myself, or I'm taking it step by step. These sentences help create a calm learning mindset. Now take a moment to reflect. Think about how much English you have listened to. Think about how many phrases you now recognize. This is progress. Even if you don't feel it strongly yet, it is happening. English is becoming part of your daily life, not something separate, not something scary, just another way to express yourself. And that is the goal. Keep listening, keep practicing, keep trusting the process. Your English will continue to grow naturally, calmly, and confidently. Thank you for spending this time with me. You are doing great, and I'm proud of your effort.